Hi, welcome to Memory Keeping Monday. This is Shannon Tidwell, Garden Girl at Two Peas in a Bucket. This month, one of our theme prompts is to do an in-review layout. As you can see, I chose to do an in-review layout of my daughter's birthday party. I decided to focus this layout just mostly on the decor items that I made and used for the party. I know that in-review layouts can sometimes be kind of a pain to make just because you have to do a little bit of digging for the photos, a little bit more work beforehand. But one fun thing that I did is I just used some Instagram photos that I had printed. They come printed in a 6x6 grid, and so each photo is a 2x2. So it's great for a layout like this. So here I've just gathered together some things that I think will work for this layout. I started with a photo that is still the 6x6 grid. I haven't cut it apart yet. And then I grabbed some tapes, some new chipboard Dear Lizzie, some Amy Tangerine products. I put a little stack of stamps to the side just so I wouldn't forget to use them. I've got these cool Studio Calico metal clips that I've been wanting to use, and a nice stack of die cuts and papers that I'm ready to dig into. So I think these papers from Dear Lizzie Fifth and Frolic will be perfect for my layout. They go with the photos perfectly. And I really like using kind of a muted pattern paper for my backgrounds lately. And wasn't it a lucky coincidence that these photos look like they're going to fit in this Dear Lizzie framed paper perfectly? So what I decided to do, I cut apart the photos, and like I said, they're going to be 2x2 approximately each. And I could have just adhered them on top of the frames, but I kind of like the look where you can actually tell that the photo's behind the frame, so the frame kind of floats off the page a little bit more. And that was really simple to do. All I did was use my X-Acto knife to cut the middle of the frames apart first. And here I'm just doing the first one just kind of as a test to make sure it works before I cut all 8 of them out. But you can see how cute it looks. What I did is I used X-Acto to cut the middle, but you can see that I left a little white edge around it just because the frames kind of have a painted look, so they're not straight lines. So I left a little bit of the white edging around the inside as well as the outside. And I went ahead and kind of tested it out, put it together, going to put the paper clip on it like I have planned for the rest of them, and put it on the background just to kind of make sure that the idea that I've got in my head, what I'm picturing in my head, actually does look good before I spend the time cutting all of the little frames apart. And I think it looks pretty cute. So I'm going to get started cutting all these out. And like I said, I'm cutting the middle out first, and I'm just going to kind of alternate the colors that I'm using, throwing in some pinks for sure, and some yellows and the greens, and then a couple neutral ones to balance it out as well. Okay, so here I've got all my little frames put together with the clips, and you'll notice that there are only 8 clips, but that's okay. I'm going to use that extra space for my title. I've decided that I need something to soften up the background. I don't really want to use a bold pattern paper too much to detract from the focal point of all the photos on the page, but I think that this transparency with the jewels on it from KI Memories will be perfect in the background. Kind of helps everything float off the page, and like I said, softens it up a little bit. And now I'm going to work on filling that space like I mentioned with my title. And what I'm using is a leftover section of the lace cardstock by KI Memories. It's called Instaframes. And I'm just going to use this little frame to kind of base my title on and kind of fill that spot. I also want to mix in this border by KI Memories, and it's just a scalloped border that's stitched down the middle. I'm kind of working with it a little bit to make the scallops pop up a little bit off the page to make it add some dimension. To help my title frame stand out a little bit, I'm going to back it with some bright green polka dot pattern paper. Okay, things are really starting to come together. You can see that I still haven't actually adhered anything down on the page. I'm still kind of coming up with my plan, but here I've decided that I want to use this KI Memories. It's actually just packaging, and I love these lined pieces of cardstock. And so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to trim the branding off of it a little bit. And then I'm going to use this for my journaling. And as you can see, the idea kind of just pops in to slide it behind the transparency. So that way I can get a lot of journaling on the page and get all the notes I want written about each of the numbered photos, but it's not going to actually take up a lot of space because I really don't have much space on this layout with all 8 of the photos. I went back and forth a few times trying to decide how to adhere the transparency onto the background. Thought I might use some tape, but I ended up just doing the stitching first because I like that it adds just a little bit of detail to it, but isn't too overpowering. So I did a little detail stitching around the edge of the background as well as around the transparency. And you can see that I just skipped over the spot where I wanted the journaling to slide in. So now it's time to make the commitment and actually start adhering things down. And as you can see, I like to go ahead and get the base down of the layout before I decide the little details of what the little embellishments are going to be and maybe even what the title is going to be. So I just kind of like to get that down and get it stuck, and then I can work on adding the finer details to the layout. All right, now it's time to add those little bit of details. And I wanted to add some tape, like I mentioned before, but I wasn't sure where. So what I decided to do is just add little bits of strips of tape to some of the photo frames. And I've just cut the strips and then notched the end of it to add a little bit of interest. And I'm just going to wrap them around several of the frames to add a little bit of extra color and just fun to the page. So now I'm going to start thinking about my journaling, and like I said, I'm going to do it on this piece of packaging, and I'm going to add the numbers first. These are by Pebbles. It's just a craft letter sticker that I use frequently, and I'm just going to kind of zigzag the numbers back and forth on the page, and then I'll fill in my journaling once I get the numbers down. I know that might be backwards to some people, but that kind of just helps me lay out everything and kind of get an idea of where I want to write and how much room I've got to write as well. So you can see I went ahead and added a little bit of embellishment to the top of my journaling strip. Haven't quite journaled yet, but I've got it there ready. And I'm going to go ahead and adhere this self-adhesive border down. Okay, now I'm going to add a couple more embellishments. This is just a die cut arrow that I actually cut with my silhouette for another layout. Whenever I cut some small things like that, I just do a whole page of them so I can use the leftovers on other pages, and they're just fun little details to add. And then I've got this fun glitter sticker from KI Memories that I'm going to add as well. And you can see that I'm going to kind of cut the end of it differently than it's actually made, just because I think it will kind of go with the flow of the layout a little bit better. And another little tip, when things are on the clear backing, just go ahead and cut them apart and leave them on the backing until you're ready to stick it down. And now I'm going to add my title. I had actually kind of planned on using my silhouette, but since it's about midnight, I decided that I better not wake up the whole house. So I'm going to go ahead and just use some letter stickers that I think will go nicely. I like the silver and match my clips, so it worked out anyway. And now it's time to actually do the journaling. Since I've got the numbers all laid out, I don't have to really pre-plan much where I want everything. I can just kind of start writing and follow the numbers down the page. And it looks so cute slid in there behind the photos. Just a couple little things left that I'm going to do. I'm going to stamp the date right here since there's a date spot on this frame. And I'm actually just putting the date of her birthday, not actually the date of the party, so figure it doesn't really matter. And then I'm going to add a couple little details, just some more glitter stickers from KI Memories. I just think they add kind of a nice fun little touch without being too overpowering since they're the white glitter again, and I think they'll add a nice touch to a couple of the frames that I think need just a little something. And here is the final layout. Thanks guys so much for hanging out with me for this Memory Keeping Monday. I hope that you will be inspired by this layout and maybe do an interview layout of your own. Like I said, try these little bitty photos because they really make a layout come together easily. You can use a lot of photos on one page, and it's really simple to do and just order these photos from your phone. So I had a lot of fun with it, and I look forward to doing another layout like this. So I hope that you'll join in on the challenge and maybe you'll get to win the prize. So have a great week. We'll talk to you later. Bye.